What's happening, Booth Junkies? Mike Delgadio here with another episode of the Booth Junkie podcast. Now, imagine this. You get hired for a gig, and if you're lucky, there's a contract. You get paid, you go on your way. Only later, you find out that the client has cloned your voice and is using that voice for new content, all without compensation to you, and probably without clear affirmative consent of yours. Or maybe you agreed in some hidden language of some vague clause in a contract that assigned away your rights. That's kind of the harsh reality of what we're seeing with AI voice cloning. A reasonably alarming trend that's casting a shadow over our industry, I suppose. But it's certainly a frontier where rules are being written as we go. And many of us hardworking voice actors, we're kind of on the front lines of it. But it's not all doom and gloom. We have two champions of our craft and a number of champions of our craft who are fighting back on that. We've got two guests today. We've got Cissy Jones and Keythe Farley, two longtime pro voice actors and advocates from the National Association of Voice Actors, or NAVA. You may know Cissy from Firewatch and The Walking Dead, and Keythe from Mass Effect and Fallout 4, but they're really here today to help us tackle this issue head on, discuss NAVA's efforts to prevent the misuse of our voices. So, welcome, Cissy and Keythe. It's such an honor to have you with us today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having us.
Good to be with you.
Did I characterize that correctly? Are we seeing situations where clients are sort of getting cloned from a short gig in content that's being made without their consent, or is it something else?
Unfortunately, yeah. And it goes even beyond just a short gig. Currently, anything that is publicly available, whether it's Instagram content, TikTok content, animation, video games, your outgoing voicemail message can be used to create a digital double of your voice. Legislation is so far behind the technology, and that's kind of why we're here, because we have to present a united front right now.
Yeah, it's basically, we're standing up against thievery. I don't think there's anybody out there who's a fan of theft. And yet it's that easy to go on to grab someone's voice and throw it in a cloning mechanism that can make it say whatever you want it to say. It can call your parents and ask for money. It can call your bank and withdraw funds. It's thievery, and that's really what we're working hard to stop.
Yeah, I remember making a video a while back when the application Descript first started having their voice clone, where we found projects on gig sites where people were paying voice actors this. It was a terrible wage to begin with, but they were getting them to record the script that had the disclaimer giving away the rights to their voice. But now that sort of seems like ancient history, because I know that my voice has been pulled off of YouTube and cloned. I'm sure, like you said, it doesn't take much to clone your voice very easily. It's a crazy situation that we're dealing with.
And I think it's important to point out the difference between the machine learning, the sort of neural network that is learning how the voice works, how speech patterns work. And we've been feeding that for years. I remember getting a Google Voice account, and they used to send me transcripts of my texts and ask me to help them correct the text. So, and I think about that now and I'm like, holy crap, I'm complicit in helping to shape this machine learning. So I feel like that if you're going in to do machine learning, if you're going in to read a paragraph or 10 pages in order to help a machine understand how to speak, that's a different beast, and we want to protect actors from that as well. But the protection of having your voice, excuse me, used in ways you don't approve of is what we're really all about, and making sure that actors have the tools to protect themselves.
I also want to point out that there are, all of it is theft, first and foremost. But there are differences between companies using our voices, using tricky language in contracts that was snuck in on page 7 of 12 in a little tiny paragraph that gave them the right to clone our voice. And, you know, there's also fan-made content, which I don't love, but it's not being used for profit, and it's not pitting me against myself in exclusivity contracts. So there's that differentiation. However, none of it is full consent. So what we need, the entire voiceover, creative, actor industry, I don't care if you are in the union, I don't care if you are non-union, I don't care if you're from Mars. What we need every single person to be doing is reading the contracts before they sign. And I know it's daunting, and I know it's miserable, and I know nobody likes to read them. But this language is getting slipped in there. A lot of times the clients don't even know it's happening, but the lawyers are putting it in there to cover all their butts for any future technology so that it becomes boilerplate. We cannot let it become boilerplate. So if you go to NAVAvoices.org, we have a whole separate page about the synthetic and AI conversation that's happening right now. We have terms to watch out for, things like digital double, digital clone, synthesized voice, things like that. And the terms are always changing so that it gets trickier for us to keep track of everything. But call it out, you know, especially if you are a non-union actor, if you have an agent or you don't have an agent, call it out. Send it to your client and say, hey, I'm really uncomfortable with this language. Can we strike that? Or NAVA has also put together for free, for use by anybody in the world, a digital waiver so that you can add that to your contract with your clients that basically says, the contract that we are signing is for this scope of work only. It does not include taking my session recordings to feed machine learning and AI generators. So that is available to every single human, regardless of whether you are a NAVA member or not, currently right now at navavoices.org/synth-AI. And
we'll have a link in the description for that.
Yes, thank you. And we're starting to see people coming to us unprovoked saying, you know, hey, John Smith, I've got this job for you. Here's the contract. And it already has the waiver language in there. So people are becoming aware of it, and clients are starting to add this language into their contracts. I think the thing that we feel right now is so scared and so isolated that our entire thing is about to disappear. But the thing is, everybody in every industry is scared right now, right? Everybody is looking for somebody to stand up, for somebody to hold the line, for somebody to ask questions and say, I'm not okay with that. And so individuals are more likely to be like, you're right, that is kind of shady, versus, you know, like the megalith corporations who don't care. That's another thing. And that's another battle that we're fighting. But we can do this today.
For sure. For sure. And you said a couple of things here that I want to make sure that everybody who's listening understands. If you're in a union and you have an agent, make sure that your agent knows it. If you're a non-union actor and you have an agent, make sure you have a discussion with your agent, because they may be the one seeing your contract, and it's in their best interest to make sure that this clause is there.
Yes.
And if you're just on your own, if you're just hanging out your shingle, know that you can add this to any contract. You can make the stipulation. And if somebody comes to you with a contract that has language you don't like, you can strike the language and send that back for a revision. You don't have to just agree to boilerplate, because they'll try and sneak that stuff in.
None of us want your next voiceover job to be your last voiceover job.
Right.
And that's how it works. When you sign a contract that gives away the right to use your voice, not a character that you're portraying, but your voice, in perpetuity throughout the known universe for whatever the fee they paid you was. That's what the contract and what the word that we're trying to get out, and you had asked this question before Cissy's brilliant response, was what are we looking to do? What are the main tenets? And it's the things that you would find in any fair contract, which is what's it going to be used for how long, for how much money, and how will the assets be stored? And so there's protections for the actors there. So for an example, if you're going to be the voice of the Sacramento Bee, The Sacramento Bee is printed at 4 a.m. It's on people's doorsteps by 6, and they want the whole paper read. You can't do that as a voice actor. So maybe you license your voice to the publication of the Sacramento Bee, and you make a deal that says that you will be paid a certain amount of money for that for a certain amount of time, maybe a year or 2 years, and that you can't work for any other newspapers while that's going on. Or maybe you get that clause where you can say like, oh, well, why not? Why can't I read the Los Angeles Times? Or what if the Washington Post comes knocking at my door and they like my AI voice? And it sunsets so that at the end of a year or 2 years or 5 years or whatever the deal is, you have an opportunity to renegotiate that contract. And so you know where it's going to be used, for how long, for how much, how the voice is going to be stored, and whether there's exclusivity. So those are the things that as you're reading your contracts, as you're maybe deciding to clone your voice to be then sold into the marketplace, we wish you all the best. We're not anti-AI. We're not anti-voice cloning technology. We just want to make sure that the actors who are providing A, the voices, and B, the machine learning are being fairly compensated for the work and fairly protected for the work that they're doing.
So I'm going to piggyback on that. Number one, I wanted to make sure we mentioned before we move away from the waiver that it is customizable. So it's just a basic document you can download. You can change it as you need to send to your clients. Great. That's there. What Keythe is talking about and what we've tried to distill down to 3 easily rememberable terms is consent, control, and compensation. So consent. I'm going to do a commercial for Honda. If Honda wants to take my voice and turn it into a digital double, they need to have express consent from me, not implied consent, not, well, you didn't say you didn't want it. They need to have express consent from me to take those recordings and turn them into a digital double. Control. You need to be able to say, I do not want my voice used for pornographic materials or homophobic materials or racist materials. You need to be able to say that about your voice. You also need to know, like Keythe was saying, how it is going to be stored and how it is going to be tracked. There's a big conversation right now about smaller companies that are sold to a larger monolith, right? And then all of a sudden this monolith has access to everything and your previous contract is null and void. We want to avoid that if at all possible. And number 3, fair compensation. A buyout with regards to AI is a surefire way that none of us will work again. What that means is it's one lump sum payment. Hey kid, here's $1,200. Doesn't that sound like a lot of money? Here's $20,000. Here's $30,000 for the last voiceover job you'll ever do. What we would like to see happen is a licensing fee. So if the term is 3 months, 12 months, 2 years, every 3 months, 12 months, 2 years, you get another payment for the use of your voice in whatever capacity you have licensed it to be used. Now, where this comes into play, obviously aside from a buyout, is if Honda does take my voice, and let's say Honda turns my voice into the voice of their commercial AI navigator computer, but they don't tell me about it, suddenly I've got a conflict with Toyota. I can't do Toyota ads, but I'm not getting paid for Honda. Right? So we need to know, like Keythe was saying, how it's going to be used, where it's going to be used, and how much am I going to be paid for the licensing of my voice. Those are the 3: consent, control, compensation. Those are the 3 things we have to be on the lookout for.
I think that the 3 C's, that's easy to also easy to remember. That's a nice little
we've been working hard at it, man.
Compensation, collateral.
Well, I do think, certainly we can see that in some cases there might be, dangling in front of you a dollar figure that is just big enough that makes you think about licensing away your voice to what could be, what should have been hundreds of thousands of dollars in gigs, possibly, into something where, maybe they dangle $10,000 in front of you to license your voice. But it is this in perpetuity for all technologies known and unknown, where, something really significant could change, and all of a sudden it really does turn out to be your last gig.
It does. And we're seeing some very predatory companies reaching out to voice actors directly saying, we really want to work with you. We're going to offer you $5,000 to make this thing, right? And listen, if you're a hobbyist, that sounds great. $5,000? Are you kidding? Yeah. Sweet. Mama needs a new pair of shoes. But again, you are selling the rights to your voice forever. They will not need to hire you again, ever. And what they will then do is use that voice to mold it with other voices to make composite voices. And then they'll blend it with anybody else's and they won't need any of us.
Yeah. I think about the great Tom Baudette's. Sorry, I thought you brought it in for a landing right there. And then there was just a little in the end there. I think of the great Tom Baudette's Motel 6 voice, right? We'll keep a light on for you. How many hundreds and thousands and perhaps millions of dollars has he made on that campaign over the course of that campaign? And that's the sort of thing that with a $10 or $15 or $20,000 buyout, that any company can go ahead and all of a sudden you are the voice for a generation for any company that you can imagine. And so those gigs go away, those very lucrative and evergreen gigs that we all dream about are gone forever. So be very careful. I think you have to be very careful. And we understand the temptation to want to make a fast buck. But there's also there's a long term to your career that you're selling away if you're not careful. Yeah. And we just want to make sure that actors have the tools to be able to make those choices with clear eyes and then know what to look for. Just like Cissy said, the 3 C's. Sure. Look for those things. And if they're not clearly defined in your contract, that's the danger. The creation of AI voices is not the danger. The danger is unscrupulous people at the controls, of which we're discovering there are many.
Yeah. So this brings me to another question, and maybe this is related or not. But Cissy, I saw on your Instagram where you talked about the document, the Coalition for Fair Voices, where where NAVA went and talked to a bunch of the CEOs of the pay to play sites. That feels like it's in the same thing. I'm not calling them predatory or unscrupulous. That's a different discussion for another time. They're particular business models.
Right.
But they are certainly in a position where they could wipe out a whole generation of up and coming voice actors pretty easily. So could you talk to me about the Coalition for Fair Voices and what the implications of that is?
Absolutely. And I have to give it up to Tim Friedlander and Karin Gilfrey from NAVA. They started this nonprofit as a way to honor a fellow voice actor who passed away and do a scholarship fund. And it has turned into this just advocacy beast. And those two, my God, they are working all hours of the day for every single one of us, regardless of membership or not. It is truly humbling. Anyway, thank you, Tim and Karin. We love you. So essentially this all started... NAVAvoices.org. It's $10 a month. Healthcare. But essentially this started because voices.com posted something on Twitter, and I left Twitter, but it was something along the lines of like, hey, look at our new fancy bloggity blah. And within their terms of service was buried a clause that basically gave them rights to do whatever they wanted with whatever was uploaded, meaning your auditions. A lot of people took it to mean that your auditions could be used to feed AI generators and machine learning. So people understandably lost their freaking minds, right? And the people canceled their subscriptions left, right, and center. And voices.com maintained that was not their intention. They did not intend to, steal our auditions and stuff like that. But they also just purchased voices.ai. So it was a little...
talk about that. I was going to ask you about that.
The optics on that were a little weird, right? So basically, Tim and Karin and the attorney that NAVA works with went to them and said, we have this pledge that says you will not take any uploaded materials and use it to feed AI generators and machine learning. Will you sign this pledge? Now, VO Planet and castvoices.com were the first to sign. They were on it from day one. They changed their terms of service to include language from the writer or from the waiver that NAVA has put together, saying that they will not do that. Voice123 signed on, Badalgo signed on, Voquent signed on, and finally, as of the day I posted that video on Instagram, voices.com signed on and changed their terms of service. And what this says is that, again, if you are going to create AI voices, consent, control, compensation. Now, the one thing I want to make very clear is that they will still cast for AI voices on those sites, and they do not vet the casting on their sites. So if you are auditioning on those sites, that's how I got started. If you are auditioning on those sites, please continue to read the terms. Make sure you understand consent, control, compensation. But those sites themselves will not be stealing your auditions to create AI voices for them to turn around and then sell again.
That's great. That's great. Because I was gonna ask about the voices.ai. I didn't know what the generation of that was. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it or not, or where their training data came from, or did they? I have no idea.
The information that we received from them was that they just got it to have it. And that they want to have it be a casting site where people can knowingly create a digital voice and have it up there for people to come and hire. That is what they have said.
Yeah, it seems to be something of an MVP site, where it's just like, harvesting email addresses, trying to gauge interest. We don't really know what's behind it yet. Yeah. So it will be interesting. And I'm not to call out Voices specifically, but they had earned some reputation before that makes us, I think, sort of extra skeptical
and we should be.
What they might be doing now.
Well, and again, it comes back to that idea that the machine learning part of AI, the machine learning part of synthetic voices is pretty much done. There are a lot of sites who understand the way voices work. There's a lot of machine learning that's already been done. And we just need to protect going forward. It's like a puppeteer, really. If I'm going to allow the machine to puppet my voice, then I want to make sure that I'm compensated. And I know what the terms are, and I know how long it's going to become, and that I have consent.
Yeah, for sure.
I do also want to talk real quick, Mike, if I can pop in here.
Sure.
A lot of questions I have seen come up around, well, what is a fair rate? What is a fair thing to charge for this? And these are ongoing conversations we are having both with the union and outside of the union to try to figure this out. Now, if you are a union actor, you know that each part of the industry has a different committee, right? And so there are different contracts that work on different rates, that work on different things. And so we are working on that with them. But outside of the union, it's an ongoing conversation. I do want to say at a very cryptic high level, I am working with a company that does want to do ethical AI. They came to us and said, we saw the tenets that you posted on the NAVA website for how to work within, the framework. We want to do that. We want to create a company for actors. So we are having ongoing conversations with them, and we are trying to figure out what a fair rate structure looks like for a solid AI company, like a really good voice, not just, a lot of the user uploaded stuff. Really solid voices costs about $10,000 per voice. So we've seen, I think it was Vocal ID was offering like, you can make a digital voice with us and we'll host it and people can come hire it. You have to pay us $7,000 or something like that. And that's because it does cost a lot of money to create. Now, the way that users will then purchase the voice is often based on what they call a token. And somebody somewhere has defined what a token is. And so, that's when you get into the granulars of, well, how much does it cost you, company, per token to generate my voice? And then what percentage do you get? What is the rate that you get paid to sell my voice? And then what percentage of that rate of the token do I get? So it's a huge minefield. We're working through it. Stay tuned. We're trying. It's just so many. It's like pulling the little thread. Every single thing leads to another sweater falling apart.
Yeah. Right. So I do think, I mean, it does sound like, you know, we are very much in it's weird. I don't know that we're in uncharted territory, because I feel like some of this has been contemplated before from a legal perspective. When I was in the corporate world, we certainly had, this would have been treated like data. You know, you would have a data licensing agreement. I would license my voice to you, and you would use it for as long as we had a license. And then when our contract was terminated, there would be a termination process where the data was clawed back or was destroyed or whatever it is. I know for celebrities, you know, they have their the name just popped out of my head, but there's a section of law that protects likenesses.
Publicity. Right?
You can't use the likeness of. Yeah, right to publicity, and it's what's it? Oh, I have it in my notes here. But you know, there's. I wonder if that sort of right to publicity is going to end up having to be extended to not just voice actors, but everybody, because now anybody could be deep faked and made into a celebrity
or a politician,
or infamous. Yeah, or politician, right? For
so
sure.
That's where we talk about how legislation
sure.
is so far behind. California and New York have the strongest right to publicity laws on the books, but the rest of the country and the rest of the world, frankly, is lagging behind. A lot of the AI companies that we're seeing are based overseas, Poland, Ukraine, Russia, because they don't have to abide by our laws. And so the EU is about to pass a very substantial legislation, which I'm hoping will trickle down to us. NAVA has been in touch with Ted Lieu's office in California. We're working with another coalition that's talked with AOC's office in New York. We're presenting with the Copyright Office in a week, I think. And we've also reached out to Adam Schiff. They are aware. They know the dangers of it. I mean, they are massive targets, especially with a major presidential election coming up. It is scary territory. So they are aware. It just takes time. While we're waiting for them to catch up, we have to hold the line. We have to know, if I sign away my rights today and then the legislation comes out in a year, it's too late.
Right.
And the power is yours, citizen of the United States. You can do exactly what NAVA has been doing. You can call your representatives and make them aware of the situation. I know you have a national, if not a global reach with this podcast. Reach out to your representatives, find out who they are, let them know who you are and what the dangers are. And then you've got all these resources at navavoices.org that you can call on us to assist you in that. So the more people know about that, the more we raise the discussion, the better chances we have of actually getting something done. Because politics, like the union, like anytime you're putting a group of people together, it's the people who get the work done. So it really is up to us. And it's great to be able to be here to sort of put this out, that you can pick up the phone and call your state, local, and national representatives and let them know what you heard here today, and point them toward the resources that are available so that we can have protections going forward from the unscrupulous actors. And I think that's what this is all coming down to, is who do you want to play with? You know, do you want to play with people who respect the work that you do and the time that you put into developing your craft, or are you after the quick buck and you'll be here today and gone tomorrow? You have to make a choice about who you're going to work with. And I think that's a discussion we had a while ago, was that we're looking to, once again, to work with people who understand what it is we do for a living and respect the work that we put in. Because most of us are blue-collar actors. None of us are Angelina Jolie's. None of us are Brad Pitt's. Right. We're blue-collar, working-class actors just trying to keep a roof over our heads and food in the bellies of our kids. And that ability to make a living is threatened by the unscrupulous actors in the synthetic voice space. And we're just trying to make sure that we can highlight and lift up those actors who in the space, actors meaning people who run companies, who respect actors, people who perform for a living. So we're looking to lift up the good actors and stay away and guide people away from those who are trying to exploit, which has been going on since as long as entertainment's been around.
I think that that's a great sum up. It really does come down to being able to control where your stuff goes out, consenting to where it goes, getting compensated for it, but broadening that so that everybody who's in this position, that we all try and protect each other, so that we all don't get screwed in the end, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, no, it's true. There are a lot of AI companies that have been receptive to us reaching out and saying, hey, I did not consent to having my voice on this website. Will you please take it down? UberDuck has been great. I believe FakeU.ai was the other one that's been really responsive. Others have basically said, sorry. So, and it's kind of a game of whack-a-mole. So, again, it's understanding what your rights should be and fighting for them. Again, I really want to encourage everybody to just speak up, have conversations. If you see something in a contract that you're not comfortable with, ask. Ask.
Sure.
I think people appreciate attention to detail, right? And like I said earlier, everybody is scared. My husband doesn't work in entertainment. My husband works in technology, and he, writes, and he's like, ChatGPT is going to take my stuff. How are we going to feed our kids? It's scary. And like Keith was saying, we could be on a major blockbuster video game and we made $1,000 in the session, right? We're not millionaires. We don't get residuals on stuff like that. I know if you hear somebody's voice on TV or a major game or whatever, it's like, well, they're sitting pretty. I assure you, we are not millionaires. We're just trying to feed our kids, to keep the roof over our heads. Which is why this conversation takes every single one of us. If you have questions, if there's anything that we didn't cover, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a member. You can come to NAVA Voices. You can email NAVA Voices and ask questions. You can reach out to me on Instagram or whatever. We want to protect this industry and this community that we love. I came from corporate too, and I hate it. I don't want to go back. I love this business with my entire soul, and I will do everything I can to protect it.
I think that goes for all of us. Well, that feels like the right place to leave it. Unless there's anything else that you feel like we need to talk about, I think that covers all the questions that I had about this. Was there anything else that we needed to go over?
I think one last thing. Oh, well, sorry,
let's
Keith,
go.
I'm just yapping the whole time.
No. I was gonna say you go, and I'll close out with something silly.
Okay. If you are a union actor, please know that anything around a digital voice is subject to collective bargaining. However, we are seeing contracts that are including language around making a digital double of your voice included. Even though it says it's the SAG-approved contract, it's not. So you still have to read your contracts. SAG has said if you get to a session and there's that language included in a contract and it's either sign the contract or lose the job, sign the contract, send it immediately to aiquestions@sagaftra.org, or what's the other one?
Voiceover@sagaftra.org.
And they will fight it retroactively. They will go to the company and say, this was not collectively bargained. You may not have this in your contract. We have seen companies, large companies, put that in their contracts. And when we go back, SAG strikes it and they send it out again with the same language. So be vigilant. Pay attention. I know it sucks. Nobody likes reading contracts. It is like soul sucking, but we gotta.
And that's the only way that this is going to change. And the only way, it's one of the benefits of being in a union is that there are lots and lots of lawyers working on your side. So allow them to work on your side. It's the same thing as calling your representatives. If they don't know, they can't possibly do anything about it. So let the union know. If you're a union actor and you see this language in your contract, get it to the union. aiquestions or voiceover at sagaftra.org. It's imperative that we communicate clearly. And the last thing I was going to say is looking forward to The Little Mermaid coming out this summer. Don't make the mistake that Ariel made. Because there's something that you want really, really bad, don't sell your voice to a witch. That's
boys aren't worth it.
The closer. It's not worth
There
it.
you go.
I do have one last piece of advice, and then I swear I will let
Sure.
us all go.
Go ahead.
NAVA did a presentation last week for agents, and we tried to get every agent under the sun. If you are represented anywhere in the country, please have your agents reach out to, I believe it's just agents at navavoices.org, and they will send them the presentation so that agents have the same information that we all do, and we're all working from the same starting point.
Great advice. Great advice for everybody with an agent. So make sure that your agent is aware. Great advice. That's all I have today. I'll have links in the description, in the show notes to NAVA, to those email addresses. I'll have all the links down in there, so anybody needs those resources, we'll have them in. The both of you, Cissy and Keythe, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. I'm really grateful for it, and it's folks like you who are making the voiceover world a better space, and we're really grateful for it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.